Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome. I am Professor Jill Castle, the Chief of Protocol of the George Washington University. And on behalf of my colleagues who are with me here today and my colleagues across the university, I am delighted to welcome all of you to this event celebrating the education of veterans and the partnership between the George Washington University and the Department of Veterans Affairs. To begin the program, it's my great pleasure to introduce Professor Millicent Scarlett of the Music Department at GW, who will lead us in the singing of the National Anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Millicent Scarlett. Would the audience please rise?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets eager, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. May I invite you to remain standing as we are led in the Pledge of Allegiance by three students. Kyle Boyer is the Vice President of the student body. Graham Plattner is a Marine who saw 2 tours of duty in Iraq. He is a student at GW and the Vice President of the Veterans Association on campus. And Alicia Charles is a graduating senior. She's an Army veteran. She saw service in Iraq as a logistics specialist, and she was awarded the Bronze Star. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Boyer, Graham Plattner, and Alicia Charles.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Would you be seated, please? Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the honor to introduce to you the President of the George Washington University, Dr. Stephen Knapp. Ladies and gentlemen, President Knapp.
Thank you, Professor Castle, and thank you all for being here today as we honor our veterans and reaffirm our commitment to educational opportunity for those who have sacrificed so much on our behalf. I want to thank Tammy Duckworth, Assistant Secretary for Public and Intergovernmental Affairs at the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, for being with us here today. We appreciate her leadership in efforts on behalf of our veterans. Tammy, as many of you know, is an alumna of the George Washington University, having received her MA from the Elliott School of International Affairs. So it's with great pride that we join her today in making this important announcement. Although he was not able to be here today, I'd also like to thank Keith Wilson, Director of Education Services at the VA. Keith and his staff worked tirelessly with GW to make sure we had the information and guidance we needed to make this commitment. We're honored to be joined by former Senator John Warner as Chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, as Secretary of the Navy, and through his service in both World War II and the Korean War, Senator Warner has dedicated his life to serving our nation and has been a tireless champion for veterans. The creation of the Yellow Ribbon Program is a direct result of his commitment to making sure our nation's veterans have the best education possible. Senator Warner also has a strong tie to GW, having served as a member of our Board of Trustees. Senator, welcome to our campus. I also want to acknowledge Timothy Smith, Director of the Mayor's Office on Veterans Affairs. Special appreciation goes to Brian Hawthorne, a GW student and veteran who has been instrumental in advocating for veterans on campus. As a direct result of his efforts, we created the position of Student Veterans Service Coordinator. Brian is here representing our student veterans, and we thank all of our students who are here with us today. I'd like to recognize two of our senior leaders here at GW, Bob Chernak, Senior Vice President for Student and Academic Support Services, and Donald Lehman, Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs. Bob and Don attended college under the original GI Bill and were a driving force behind the commitment to making this possible at GW today. They're right here in the front row. Thank you for being here. Today we're here with the United States Department of Veterans Affairs to announce a major commitment by the George Washington University to the education of our veterans. Starting this fall, Yellow Ribbon qualified veterans attending GW as undergraduates will receive free tuition. And those, full tuition, and those, thank you. And those who attend as graduate students, including attendance in the schools of law and medicine, will be able to attend at a significantly reduced rate of tuition. GW is the first institution of higher learning in the District of Columbia and one of the first in the nation to make a specific and substantial commitment under the Yellow Ribbon Program of the post-9/11 GI Bill, and we are proud to help lead the way. With this investment in future leaders of our nation, we are honoring our veterans, and we are proud to stand with them and their families. We're also building on GW's long tradition of support for our service members and veterans and leadership in public service. I recently had the opportunity to host the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the President's House on F Street and underscored that commitment. It was an historic occasion to celebrate that connection between our university and our services. And in fact, the very first veteran to receive tuition assistance under the original GI Bill was a George Washington University student. Donald Balfour, class of 1945, learned about the GI Bill as an enterprising reporter for the GW Hatchet. He was doing a story on it, found out about it, and he was the very first student to sign up as a GI Bill recipient. We know that the next generation of veterans at GW will make our campus and our nation stronger than ever. Thank you all for being here. We'll now proceed with the program. I'd like to invite Tammy Duckworth to the podium.
Thank you so much. And Senator Warner, it's always an honor to be in your presence. Thank you, President Knapp, for that kind introduction. To the GW students here with us today, it's really great to be back, much better in this kind of weather than at any other time. You know, I started my career where it stands now here at GW. I came here from University of Hawaii, and when I came to GW, I chose GW because it had the highest pass rate for the Foreign Service exam, and my dream was to someday grow up and become an ambassador. But it was here that I met inspiring people in the form of veterans, other students who were veterans. And as I chatted with them, in that time period, the Berlin Wall was coming down, and I had this great group of friends who came from all different walks of life who were in my classes here at GW, and so many of them were vets. And one of the things that struck me about them was how much they loved this country and how much they were using their time here to prepare them to continue to serve their country. And it was my fellow students here at GW who encouraged me to just take a couple of ROTC classes just to see how it goes. And much to the dismay of my father, the former Marine, I chose to take advantage of the consortium program and took Army ROTC at Georgetown. And so it was here at GW in this place that my career started, and I'm always going to be grateful. The Yellow Ribbon GI Education Enhancements Program allows institutions of higher learning in the United States to voluntarily enter into an agreement with the VA to fund tuition expenses that exceed the highest public in-state undergraduate tuition rate. The institution can contribute as much as 50% of those expenses, and the VA will match it. I encourage everybody that's interested to learn more about this at gibill.va.gov. I know personally what the Montgomery GI Bill did for my father after World War II, what it's doing for my brother now, and I know what it's going to do for this country and for our veteran students in the years to come. And I cannot thank Senator Warner enough for passing the new Montgomery GI Bill and spearheading that effort along with Senator Webb. There is absolutely no better investment than education. The post 9/11 GI Bill will provide new opportunities that are essential to our veterans, our workforce, and our economy. I have no doubt that with us today are future leaders of our nation. I will be waiting and watching and looking forward to getting calls when any of the student veterans that are here today are looking for a job at the VA or even want to be free interns. Emphasis on the free. Thank you again, President Knapp, for inviting me to be here with you today and your commitment to our veterans and members of the military. This is really a historic occasion. I applaud GW for your intent to do this. It's really about the future of our country. You're taking young men and women who've worn the uniform, who have said that I value this country and this Constitution more than my own life, and giving them an opportunity to find a way to continue to serve. God bless each one of you for being here. God bless our troops who are in harm's way right now, and always, God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Duckworth, and it's next my pleasure to invite to the podium Senator John Warner, a great American statesman and veteran who served as Secretary of the Navy from 1972 to 1974 and served as Senator from Virginia from 1978 to 2009. Senator Warner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much, and thank you, sir. She delivered that speech flawlessly. And let me tell you, she can be a senator any day you want to be a senator. To my fellow veterans and others, I'm here for one simple purpose, and that's to say the two most important words that we know: thank you. I was a recipient of the GI Bill for a brief service at the end of World War II. I received an engineering degree. I then later joined the Marines, and lo and behold, went to Korea in the Marines and got a second GI Bill. And part of that GI Bill I got in Korea for service, I used at this university. When returning from Korea, I hadn't seen my family in almost a year, and so I wanted to see my mother for a brief period, took a course here, and then went on back to UVA and finished my law degree. So I don't forget those things. And I don't forget that America made its greatest investment. I mean, history is replete to the statements made by many. Its greatest investment in that World War II generation and successive generations of veterans by virtue of this law. Now, when I say this law, it's been in existence since roughly 1944, some version of it. And it's carried forth through the years, and I worked with many in the Senate my 30 years, bringing it up to date. But finally, we had to make the big push, as we say in the military. And Jim Webb, who was a wonderful man, he's now the United States Senator from Virginia, as I've stepped down and retired. He actually served on my staff as a young major in the Marine Corps, captain in the Marine Corps, when he was returned from Vietnam. So we've been friends for a long time. And we teamed up with Chuck Hagel, another two-time Purple Heart winner from Vietnam, and we put that bill through. Webb was captain, Hagel was flanking end, and I was a linebacker, and we pushed it through. But Webb was the chief of that group. And then Danley Inouye, as I understand, he was an alumni here.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Dan Inouye was on the senior man on the Appropriations Committee, and we carried the ball to the 1 yard line, and he took it from there and crossed that goal line because the Pentagon wasn't in favor of it, the President wasn't in favor of it, but the veterans were in favor of it because they knew of the investment we made. So my thoughts are just to say thank you. Let me remind you of just what you did. Pledge allegiance, and you sang Star Spangled Banner, and that phrase, "Oh, does that banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. Now think of that. You just sang that song. We're all in the land of the free, but these in uniform today, and particularly you, are the home of the brave. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator. And our next speaker is Brian Hawthorne, who is a junior majoring in geography at the George Washington University. He's a native of Arlington, Virginia, and came to us after serving 2 tours in the war in Iraq. He's a founding member of GW Veterans, and in this role, he's been a tireless advocate for veterans on campus. Brian?
Thank you, President Knapp, for that kind introduction, and thank you to the George Washington University for making this happen and this historic announcement possible. Senator Warner, we are honored by your presence here today and truly appreciate the decades of service that you have given this country, particularly in writing this legislation. Madam Secretary, welcome back to GW. Thank you for your service and the sacrifices you have made for this nation. I believe I can speak for all of us here at GW in saying we are excited to have you represent us in your new role down the street. As mentioned, my name is Brian Hawthorne. I'm a junior here at GW, and I'm the DC Director for Student Veterans of America. I currently serve in the Army Reserves as a combat medic and have served 2 tours in Iraq, most recently as part of the surge in Baghdad with the 1st Infantry Division. I'm honored to speak here today as a representative of the GW Veterans Organization, which was founded last August by a group of vets committed to creating a community here at GW for veterans and their supporters alike. Since that time, we have worked to bring veterans issues to light at GW and have advocated for the population as a whole, as well as individual veterans struggling with any aspect of their life or academic career. As a result of these efforts, a new position was created in January, the Veteran Services Coordinator, employing a graduate student to answer the phone, respond to emails, and to professionally advocate for the veterans here at GW through the GW administration. Since the signing of the post-9/11 GI Bill last July, one of our top priorities has been the proper and thorough implementation of the tenets of this bill here at GW. Today represents the culmination of these efforts, and I would like to especially highlight the efforts of the faculty and staff that made this possible, particularly Kent Springfield and Michael Aiken, who relentlessly patrolled the halls of Congress to working over the last months for the details of this bill and to make sure that every intimate detail was taken care of, which is why you're all here today. Also, Andy Son of the Student Academic Support Services, who was recognized last week by the university for his support of our organization, who has been a true advocate in the senior leadership for us. Also, Wade Spann, who is in the crowd today, our organization's first president, who took the time, even though he's graduating this semester and will not reap any of the benefits for his work, to make sure the student veteran voice was always heard and that this could be implemented to its fullest extent. This commitment today represents more than just a financial contribution to a vet's education. It sends a clear message to both the veteran community and academia that those who have served in harm's way to protect the ideals of this nation are welcome to better themselves here in the historic halls of GW, as many in the crowd are doing today. Studying a little bit of American history will tell you that this was not always the case at all institutions. I'm proud to stand with the leaders of our government and the leaders of an esteemed academic institution to dispel this impression once and for all. We would like to call upon the other private institutions of our nation to follow suit in making similar commitments. The veteran population brings much to the classrooms of America, and we truly appreciate the support we receive along the way. On Veterans Day last November, Mr. Bob Wallace, who's the executive director of the VFW, said, "The men and women who put on the nation's uniform never stop serving, in or out of uniform." And today's announcement ensures that those who choose to do so here will have access to one of the finest educations that our nation has to offer to continue them along their lifetime of service. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you, GW, for its support of our veterans.
We also have from the Mayor's Office, Timothy Smith, Director of the Mayor's Office on Veterans Affairs. I wonder if you'd come forward and just say a few words for us, please. Thank you.
Sure, certainly. Hello, everyone. I don't have any ties to university. I went to a college whose mascot is the elephant, but everybody screams out Roll Tide. I guess Go Elephants doesn't sound that good. But on behalf of our parent organization, National Association of State Directors of Veterans Affairs. I'd just like to say thank you to Congress for funding the 21st GI Bill for the 21st century. And I also like to say thank you to George Washington University for taking the lead in participating in the Yellow Ribbon campaign. This is a wonderful thing, a wonderful gift to give to our current veterans that are serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. And when they come home, they'll have a chance to receive a top-notch education. So I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of the mayor as well. It is a pleasure to be in the city. I've been in the city for 6 years now, and I've seen nothing but wonderful things come from the people. And it really touches my heart to see the university do this. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you all for being here on this great occasion. This certainly is a family event. Thank you so much for being here, Secretary Duckworth, a GW alum. We're so pleased that the current students who are veterans could also participate. Now that Senator Warner has told me he took a class here, I'm going to count him as an alum too. UVA is a fine school, but Senator Warner is one of ours now. And Mr. Smith, I know you went to another school, but we'll count you in the family too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, and please come and join me in a glass of lemonade. Thank you and good morning.